Thanks for clicking. Toronto's real estate prices are heading downward, with the benchmark price dropping $60,000 just last month, down $100,000 since last year. This according to the most recent release from the Toronto Regional Real Estate Board. Yeah, and it doesn't look like it's getting better anytime soon either. With mortgage rates on the upswing amid tariff uncertainty, it is likely that any property purchased right now could very well be worth less than the purchase price by the time of closing. As such, let's get this done early. Make sure you protect yourself in any real estate transaction. Don't get sued because your house doesn't appraise and you can't close. Finance conditions, home inspections. If your realtor advises against protecting your financial interests, they've shown you who they are, get a better realtor.
Whatever it takes, just tell me what you want!
And all of this isn't great news for current home owners. As a recent report from the Globe and Mail reiterated, selling at a loss has become more and more commonplace in Ontario, with some realtors acknowledging that they sold dumps, noting that some of their sellers have had to move back in with mom and dad.
I hope I can do the same for you sometime.
Yeah, as we'll see today, the Globe and Mail interviewed a number of realtors who say they always knew that prices weren't sustainable. It's just too bad that no one told the brokerages or the media. So what I want to do today is go over Toronto's real estate data for the month of April, take a look at these losses being reported by the Globe and Mail, and then go over some of the shifting rhetoric in the real estate industry. Prices in Toronto are definitely dropping, and we are eagerly awaiting Canada's national real estate data set to be released next week, and we'll obviously have an update out on that data on this channel. Make sure you click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, let's get into April's data. Onto the data. First up, the benchmark price. The benchmark price, that's the price of a home that represents the most popular set of features, which fell substantially in April. Toronto's benchmark in March was $1,068,500, and that dropped almost $60,000 to $1,009,400 in April. So the benchmark price down almost $60,000 in 1 month's time, and down almost $120,000 since April of 2024. Next, the average price, which was actually up in April. The average in March was $1,093,254, and that bumped about $14,000 to $1,107,463 in April, but still down about $50,000 since April of 2024. That is probably due to more of that higher end stuff selling, as we saw in London, which we can also see if we look at the median price. The median price, if you'll remember, that's where half as many homes sell over that price and half as many sell under. Toronto's median in March was $945,000, and that bumped a bit to $950,000 in April, but still down about $30,000 from April of 2024.
It's an incredible opportunity.
Next, the MOI, the months of inventory measurement, which measures if no more homes came to the market, how long would it take for Toronto to completely run out of homes for sale. The MOI in March was 3.8, and that bumped up to 4.1 in April. That is by far the highest months of inventory that Toronto has ever seen in April over the past 12 years. And finally, the sales to list price ratio, the SLPR, which measures by how much over or under asking a home sells. So if a home is listed for $100,000 and sells for $99,000, the SLPR would be 99. That SLPR was down in April. In March, it was 100, and now it's back down to 99. So we have a benchmark price down about $60,000. We have an average price up about $14,000, the median price up $5,000. We have relative more inventory sitting on the market, and homes are selling for under asking price. But it's the sales numbers that are the real news this month, with sales coming in at 5,601, down 23% from last April, far below any other April, save the beginning of COVID, that Toronto has seen for the past 12 years. Yet, new listings are surging as well, coming in fourth to the COVID boom and bust years of 21 and 22, and the correction year of 2017, back when prices dropped about $80,000 from May to January.
That's impossible!
And of course, that's led to an awful lot of listings sitting on the market, with active listings coming in at 27,386, far outpacing anything Toronto has seen for the past 12 years. Not just the past 12 Aprils, the highest number of active listings Toronto has seen for the past 12 years in total. which obviously explains a lot of the price decreases. And according to a new report in the Globe and Mail, more and more sellers are actually taking losses on the sale of their properties, with 25% of properties bought in 2022 and sold in 2024 suffering a loss, with the Toronto region seeing a median loss of $56,000. And to explain the reasoning for this phenomenon when you buy at the peak of the market when money is free compared to when you sell it later on when money is not free, the Globe and Mail turned to the realtors.
They have summoned me.
One realtor from RealTorS recalls that the COVID market was dangerous and unsustainable, with people throwing money around like he couldn't believe. The realtor says now that he knew at the time that what goes up must come down. And yeah, obviously everyone knows that free money hits asset prices first. It was obvious pre-2020, but obviously someone forgot to tell that realtor's brokerage, RealTorS, who, as late as 2022, was continuing to argue that price increases were the result of a shortage of supply, with even its COO saying that in Toronto, demand was going to continue to outpace supply across the region and in every segment of the market. That was said when prices were just about here. And if that was in fact the case, that we did have a supply shortage, then people throwing money around like you wouldn't believe was definitely understandable. You wouldn't want to get locked out of owning a home forever.
You wouldn't want that to happen, would you?
Except that it wasn't the case, as by February of 2022, when prices were here, we found out that Toronto's housing supply was outpacing population growth, meaning there wasn't really a supply shortage at all. With that said, it's not all the real estate industry's fault. It's certainly not the fault of just this brokerage. Their lackeys in the media allowed the shortage of supply narrative to continue unchecked, despite the continual warnings of other, less propagated voices. Here's one from the Globe and Mail from 2021 saying how great the condo market in Toronto could be. But it's not just that realtor from RealTorS that's identifying the market mania of 3 years ago, with another one from RE/MAX saying the COVID money was casino money. Said realtor, apparently, sold a home at the time that even she knew was an outrageous price, telling the buyer at the time that the home was a dump and that she better love it.
I just saw it on the news.
Now, I remember the COVID days very well and having to speak to realtors almost every day, and I 100% believe that they spoke to their clients with such a level of arrogance and disregard. Buy a dump if you want, but you'll be here for a while. And then you crow about it in the news. World-renowned business acumen and sales prowess.
You throwing too many big words at me.
But I digress. According to this realtor, after she told that lady that she'd better love it, that lady did buy the home and is now calling said realtor and wants to sell that dump. Apparently, she didn't listen to that realtor's warning about prices. Now, the Globe doesn't provide a date as to when that totally real, self-aggrandizing conversation happened, but it could be possible that that lady listened to that realtor's brokerage, which, in December 2021, when prices were here, said the prices would be heading up another 9.2% in 2022, with Toronto's average price set to hit $1.16 million by the end of the year. Or maybe she was looking to RE/MAX in February of 2022 when it demonstrated the analytical abilities inherent in the industry, parodying government propaganda from the Bank of Canada saying Toronto's real estate market was not in a bubble.
They'd never lie to us about something like that.
Or maybe it was RE/MAX's vice president who, in March of 2022, said the prices were really due to a lack of supply in inventory. So again, we have a realtor saying they knew prices were too high, they knew they were selling dumps, but we have a brokerage saying something very, very much different, saying something very different that gets propagated throughout the media. And then finally, we have another realtor from RealTorS saying that the problem is sellers still have COVID dreams, wanting COVID prices. Now, where on earth could they get an idea like that COVID prices could still be expected in this day and age with these current interest rates?
Yeah, I don't know.
Could it be from RealTorS CEO Phil Soper, who at the end of 2023 said we'd be seeing COVID prices in 2024? Or maybe it was the RealTorS forecast in December of 2024, after the Trump tariff threats, which said Toronto real estate prices were heading up 5% in 2025. You get the idea. So we've got these realtors who apparently knew the whole time that these prices were unsustainable that once the free money went away, these prices would fall, not really matching the rhetoric of their brokerages, not really matching the rhetoric that gets pushed in the media. Which, of course, those in the industry, those that work under the brokerages, don't need to toe the line, don't need to continue the rhetoric being pushed by said brokerages. But the point is that though those three apparently knew the whole time, those are not the voices we heard. Those are not the voices we heard in any of Canada's big news outlets, the Globe and Mail, the Financial Post, CBC, etc. And now those same voices in the media are going to tell us how this is all going to play out. Meaning, make sure you do your own research, make sure you look at your own data. I wouldn't suggest trusting the media, trusting what the real estate brokerages tell you. You really have to be your own agent, as evidenced by the past 5 years at least. We will obviously continue to maintain a data-centered approach on this channel. Make sure you click like and subscribe if you want to get those updates, but for now, thanks so much for watching.